Right, Hertz Car Rental, they will be selling vehicles through Amazon.
Yeah, Hertz is going to be on Amazon, specifically Amazon Autos, online auto marketplace. Hertz, for many, many years, like most used car dealers, or rental car companies, has been selling its used vehicles to dealers as a way of offloading them from the lots.
75% of Hertz's entire fleet destroyed. What was supposed to be the deal of the century with Amazon turned into one of the biggest corporate disaster in rental car history. Picture this. Hertz buys over 100,000 electric vehicles. They're betting everything on going green. The future looks bright. Then, it all falls apart. The cars start breaking down. Repair costs skyrocket. Customers are stranded. And the bills? They're bleeding millions every single month. But here's where it gets really weird. Someone made a fortune while Hertz was losing everything. And now, those same destroyed vehicles are being sold for pennies on the dollar at auctions across the country. So what actually happened behind closed doors? Why did Amazon walk away? And who knew this disaster was coming before anyone else? The truth is darker than you think. And the people cashing in right now, they saw it coming from a mile away. What if I told you this wasn't an accident at all? Inside Hertz headquarters, the mood was electric. Board members gathered in a glass-walled conference room, eyes fixed on the screens as the stock price ticked upward. The announcement of the 100,000 Tesla deal had just hit the news wires. In a single afternoon, Hertz's market cap jumped by nearly 10%. Applause broke out. Some executives texted family about the bonuses coming their way, millions in stock grants and performance payouts, all tied to this bold move toward electrification. Jeff Adams, executive vice president of Hertz Car Sales, leaned forward with a grin. "This is the future," he told colleagues, his voice echoing in the room. "We're not just renting cars, we're changing the way America moves." The optimism was contagious. Wall Street analysts called it a masterstroke. Social media buzzed with praise. Even competitors admitted, off the record, that Hertz had just leapfrogged the industry. The leadership team reviewed projections, higher rental rates for Teslas, premium branding, and a new tech-forward image. They imagined Hertz charging stations at every major airport, customers lining up for Model 3s, and a wave of new loyalty signups. The board's compensation committee circulated the numbers. Executive bonuses would surge if fleet electrification hit its targets. Some stood to double their annual pay. The sense of triumph was overwhelming, and caution faded into the background. In that moment, no one in the room dwelled on risk. The spreadsheets showed a future of endless demand, stable resale values, and a permanent seat at the table of American innovation. For a brief, shining hour, Hertz looked untouchable. The champagne was on ice. The story, as far as the board was concerned, was already a success. Out on the streets, the excitement was impossible to miss. Social media feeds filled up with selfies, people grinning behind the wheel of a brand new Tesla, rental receipts still on the dash. For many, this was their first time driving an electric car. Posts poured in from airports and driveways. "Just picked up a Model 3 from Hertz, never going back to gas." TikTok and Instagram reels showed families piling into white Model Ys, their kids marveling at the silent start. College students filmed themselves testing autopilot on spring break road trips, racking up thousands of views. The Tesla logo became a badge of status, and Hertz's yellow logo suddenly felt modern again. Travel bloggers shared glowing reviews. "Charging was a breeze," one wrote, showing off a full battery at a supercharger. Another posted a time-lapse of a cross-country journey, pausing only for quick charges and fast food. In the comments, people asked how to reserve their own EV for summer vacations. Even skeptics admitted the experience felt futuristic. "It's like driving an iPhone," one renter tweeted, snapping a photo of the minimalist dashboard. Rideshare drivers joined in, boasting about the money saved on gas and the tips they earned for offering a clean, high-tech ride. Some renters started comparing notes. debating which color Tesla looked best in their vacation photos, or how many miles they could squeeze out before needing a charge. The sense of novelty was everywhere, and for a moment, it seemed like Hertz had unlocked something special. The idea of renting an electric car wasn't just a headline anymore. It was a trending topic, a shared experience, and, for thousands of ordinary people, a taste of the future. Maria Lopez, an auto industry analyst with a reputation for cutting through hype, sat down with a stack of Hertz's quarterly reports. The numbers told a story no one in the boardroom wanted to face. By the end of the third quarter of 2023, Hertz had written down $588 million in fleet value, almost all of it tied to their new electric vehicles. Teslas, that cost $55,000 just 2 years earlier, were now selling for as little as $25,000 at auction, sometimes even less if there was cosmetic damage or battery wear. The resale market, once expected to be a safety net, had vanished. Dealers didn't want the cars. Private buyers hesitated, scared off by stories of expensive battery replacements and sky-high repair bills. On earnings calls, Hertz executives tried to keep their voices steady. They blamed the losses on Tesla's sudden price cuts, which sent used values into a tailspin. But the real problem ran deeper. Rental EVs faced a brutal life: airport loops, short trips, hundreds of drivers. Repairs piled up faster than anyone predicted. Service shops charged double for even minor fixes, citing specialized parts and training. Insurance claims spiked. In some months, the cost to repair a single Model 3 exceeded the revenue it brought in from rentals. Maria highlighted a line buried in the third quarter report. Depreciation per vehicle had climbed to $422 a month, up 16% from the year before. That meant every Tesla in the fleet was losing over $5,000 in value a year, far more than the company ever planned for. The math was relentless. Even as Hertz tried to slow the bleeding by shifting EVs to markets with better charging or higher demand, the losses kept mounting. By late 2023, the company announced it would sell off 20,000 Teslas, with another wave likely to follow. The vision of a tech-forward, green fleet had collapsed into a scramble for cash. Maria's verdict was blunt. The numbers no longer supported the dream. The optimism of 2021 had evaporated. What remained was a harsh reality. Thousands of nearly new electric cars, worth less than half their sticker price, flooding the market with no easy way out. The pain wasn't limited to electric cars. High-end SUVs, once the pride of the Hertz fleet, began tumbling down the price ladder just as fast. Rows of BMW X5s lined up at auction, their original $68,000 window stickers, now little more than a memory. Dealers who once fought for these vehicles barely raised a hand. The final bids? Some X5s cleared for $39,000, almost $30,000 below retail, and thousands less than what Hertz owed on each loan. Mercedes GLEs, which had rolled off the lot at $75,000, were now lucky to fetch $42,000. The luxury market was supposed to be insulated. These were status symbols, loaded with features, and in normal years, they held their value better than anything else on the lot. But the flood of fleet vehicles changed everything. Too many cars, not enough buyers, and every day the prices slipped further. Auctioneers called out numbers in empty rooms, their voices echoing against metal and glass. The losses stacked up with every sale. Hertz had counted on these premium models to offset the risk of their electric bet. Instead, they became another source of red ink. The company's own financials showed the damage. Depreciation on luxury SUVs outpaced even the battered EVs. In some quarters, losses on high-end vehicles reached double digits, erasing years of careful asset management in a matter of months. Buyers who watched the market saw the once unthinkable. Nearly new BMWs and Mercedes, loaded with technology and barely out of warranty, selling for the price of a used Camry. The ripple effects hit hard. Franchise dealers struggled to compete. Private sellers found their trade-ins worth less than the loan balance. The old rules about luxury value no longer applied. the market had rewritten them overnight. For Hertz, each sale became a balancing act. Hold too long, and values dropped even further. Sell too quickly, and the losses locked in. There was no safe move left. The luxury segment, once a source of pride and profit, had become a glaring symbol of just how far the collapse had spread. Used car prices across the country began to slide in ways the industry hadn't seen in decades. At the center of the storm were electric vehicles. In just 8 months, average used EV values dropped by more than 30%, according to auction data from Cox Automotive and Black Book. For Teslas, the drop was even steeper. Some models lost nearly 40% of their value in a single year, with prices falling from $35,000 to barely $22,000 at wholesale auctions. The shock rippled outward. Premium SUVs, once considered bulletproof investments, saw their own values collapse. BMW X5s and Mercedes GLEs, which had fetched top dollar just a year before, now lingered on dealer lots, unable to command even 2/3 of their original price. Wholesale indices showed luxury SUVs depreciating up to 38% in 12 months, erasing years of steady gains almost overnight. The fallout wasn't limited to a handful of brands or models. Across the board, used vehicle values dropped by 5 to 10%, but the pain was sharpest in segments flooded by rental fleet sell-offs. Dealers who once relied on steady trade-in values now faced a market where yesterday's collateral was tomorrow's liability. Lenders grew jittery. Banks and credit unions started demanding larger down payments, sometimes as high as 40%, just to cover the risk that a car's value might drop faster than the borrower could pay off the loan. For buyers, that meant instant negative equity. A car bought on Monday could be worth thousands less by Friday, leaving new owners underwater before they'd even made their first payment. Financing terms tightened. Interest rates on ex-rental and electric vehicles climbed, reflecting lenders' fears of further depreciation. Some buyers saw offers with annual percentage rates 3 to 4 points higher than the market average, especially for high mileage or former fleet vehicles. Gap insurance, once an afterthought, became a necessity as buyers tried to shield themselves from the risk of a total loss, leaving them with a hefty loan balance and no car. The entire system, dealers, lenders, buyers, found itself caught in a feedback loop of falling values and rising costs. What started with a few thousand Teslas at auction had become a full-blown market correction, with every corner of the used car world feeling the strain. Banks watched the used car market unravel and moved fast to protect themselves. Loan officers stopped treating vehicles as safe collateral. Instead of the usual 10% down, buyers faced demands for 40% upfront, sometimes more. A $40,000 car now required $16,000 in cash before a single payment would be approved. For many, that was impossible. The reason was simple. Overnight, the numbers no longer added up. Cars that lost 30% of their value in less than a year left lenders exposed. The risk wasn't just theoretical. Repossession no longer meant the bank could recover its money at auction. Vehicles that had rolled off the lot as status symbols, BMWs, Teslas, Mercedes, were suddenly liabilities, not assets. Underwriting departments rewrote their policies. Loan-to-value ratios tightened. Every application went under a microscope, especially for electric vehicles and ex-rentals. Lenders factored in the rapid depreciation, the repair costs, and the uncertainty swirling around future values. Even borrowers with strong credit found themselves turned away or saddled with higher interest rates. In some cases, banks refused to finance certain models at all. The old playbook, easy money, low down payments, generous terms, was gone. The new reality was caution, skepticism, and a wall of paperwork. For ordinary buyers, the impact was immediate. Dreams of driving home a nearly new luxury car faded. Even certified used vehicles, once considered a safe bet, came with strings attached. 40% down, strict mileage caps, and mandatory gap insurance became the norm. The ripple effects stretched far beyond the showroom floor. Fewer approved loans meant fewer sales, and dealers struggled to move inventory. The credit crunch had arrived, and it didn't care about anyone's best intentions or bold strategies. It was a cold calculation, driven by falling numbers and a fear that tomorrow's collateral might be worth even less than today's. Sarah Martinez had always dreamed of driving something sleek and new. When she spotted a nearly new Tesla Model 3 on a used car site, with the Hertz logo barely visible on the key fob, it felt like fate. She put $7,000 down, signed a loan for the rest, and drove home on a cloud. 6 months later, the car's battery warning lit up. The local service center quoted her $4,200 for repairs and told her the warranty didn't cover wear from commercial use. When the car broke down on the interstate, the tow bill came to $600. Sarah called her lender, only to learn her car's value had dropped below what she owed, by more than $10,000. Selling wasn't an option. She was stuck, making payments on a car she couldn't drive, and the insurance company said her policy wouldn't cover the difference if it was totaled. Marcus Reed, a rideshare driver in Houston, thought he'd scored a deal when he picked up a 2022 BMW X5 from a Hertz liquidation. The dealer promised it had passed all inspections, but after a few months, the brakes started grinding and the infotainment screen glitched out. Repairs cost more than a month's rent. When Marcus tried to refinance, the bank demanded 40% down payment, citing market volatility. His old car had never needed this much attention, or this much cash. He watched online forums fill with similar stories. Buyers blindsided by repair bills, denied warranty claims, and left underwater on loans as values kept dropping. For Sarah and Marcus, the promise of driving a luxury car turned into a daily reminder of what they'd lost. The numbers in quarterly reports had faces now: families juggling bills, workers stranded by a flat battery, buyers learning the hard way that a low price can hide a world of risk. Their stories echoed across the country, one tow truck and repair invoice at a time. Every ex-rental car carries a history, but the ones pouring out of Hertz's liquidation have stories written in worn tires, chipped paint, and service records thick with repairs. These vehicles spent their lives shuttling strangers from airports to hotels, enduring stop-and-go traffic, abrupt lane changes, and the kind of hard driving no private owner would tolerate. By the time a car racks up 50,000 or even 100,000 miles in the rental world, it's absorbed the habits of hundreds of drivers, each one pushing buttons, slamming doors, and squeezing extra miles out of every charge or tank. Underneath the shine of a fresh detail, suspension parts creak, batteries show early signs of fatigue, and digital dashboards hide error codes only a scanner can see. The real sting comes when the paperwork hits the table. Lenders, already wary of falling values, tack on an extra 3 to 4% to the annual percentage rate for X rentals. Insurance companies insist on gap coverage, knowing there's a good chance the car's value will drop below the loan before the first year is out. For buyers, that means higher payments and more risk. If the car is totaled, gap insurance is the only thing standing between a $10,000 shortfall and a mountain of debt. Without it, a single accident or theft could leave an owner paying for a vehicle that's already gone. Every dollar saved on the sticker price can vanish in a single repair bill. Warranty coverage often excludes commercial use wear, and routine maintenance turns expensive fast, especially on high-mileage electric vehicles with batteries and drivetrains that degrade faster under rental stress. The promise of a bargain hides a maze of hidden costs, and for buyers lured by low prices, caution is more than advice. It's a necessity. Darren Cho, a logistics strategist with a knack for spotting patterns in chaos, watched the car market shift from his office lined with screens and spreadsheets. He wasn't interested in the headlines about falling prices or Hertz's scramble to offload Teslas. What caught his eye was the quiet, methodical advance of Amazon into the world of car sales, a move that seemed almost invisible to those fixated on the drama of liquidations and auctions. Amazon Autos was never about flashy launches or dealership showdowns. Instead, it was built on the foundation of over 200 million Prime member profiles, each one a living, breathing stream of data. Every purchase, every search, every click added to a growing picture of what Americans wanted in a car, how they shopped, and, most importantly, how they paid. Darren saw Amazon's playbook unfold. Use this data to predict demand, personalize offers, and connect buyers to inventory in a way no traditional dealer could match. But the real edge wasn't just in knowing what people wanted, it was in how Amazon could deliver. Years of building out a logistics empire meant they could coordinate pickups, test drives, and even home deliveries with a few taps. While others struggled with supply chain bottlenecks and regional shortages, Amazon routed vehicles through its own network, bypassing many of the headaches that slowed down competitors. The company's partnerships with established automakers like Ford and GM opened doors that had been closed to outsiders for decades. By acting as a digital matchmaker, never the direct seller, Amazon sidestepped the franchise laws that hamstrung Tesla and other disruptors. The transaction might finish at a local dealer, but every step leading there was shaped by Amazon's algorithms and infrastructure. Darren noticed something else. Amazon didn't care about short-term profits on car sales. The margins were razor thin, sometimes even negative. What mattered was the data. Each sale fed back into the system, refining the next offer, locking in Prime members for a lifetime of purchases, not just cars, but insurance, accessories, and services. Every buyer became part of a loop that grew more valuable with each transaction. For Hertz and other sellers, the promise was reach and efficiency. For Amazon, it was about owning the customer journey from start to finish, gathering insights that no dealership chain could ever hope to match. This wasn't improvisation. It was a calculated, data-driven assault on the very structure of car retail. As Darren mapped the connections, Prime profiles, automaker deals, logistics nodes, he realized the traditional rules no longer applied. The battlefield had shifted, and for those still playing by the old playbook, the risk wasn't just missing out on sales. It was becoming invisible in a market where data and delivery mean everything. Darren Cho refreshed his dashboard and watched the numbers spiral. The promise of Amazon's seamless logistics ran headfirst into reality the moment Hertz's inventory went live. Within 48 hours, fulfillment centers were jammed with vehicles waiting for inspection. Some double parked in lots meant for half as many cars. Buyers who clicked Buy Now, expecting next-day pickup, saw estimated delivery dates slip from 2 days to nearly 2 weeks. The system, built to move packages and groceries, buckled under the weight of thousands of cars needing title transfers, registration, and specialized transport. Behind the scenes, Amazon's AI pricing engine was supposed to outsmart the market, updating listings in real time based on demand, mileage, and location. Instead, it misread the flood of Hertz vehicles as a sign of market collapse. Dozens of BMW X5s dropped below $37,000 overnight, undercutting even wholesale auction prices. Teslas with minor cosmetic flaws were listed for less than $22,000, sometimes thousands below what it cost Hertz to buy them new. Dealers monitoring the site snapped up the best deals before retail buyers could even finish paperwork. The algorithm, designed to maximize turnover, triggered a race to the bottom that cost Hertz an estimated $180 million in lost value in a single week. Buyers grew frustrated as purchase confirmations led to silence. Some waited 12 days or more for their vehicles to clear paperwork bottlenecks. The digital checkout process, modeled after Amazon's one-click simplicity, stumbled over state-by-state titling requirements and mismatched VIN records. Customer service lines lit up with complaints, cars not ready, appointments rescheduled, pricing errors that vanished after checkout. Social media filled with screenshots of too-good-to-be-true deals, some of which were quietly canceled when the system caught up to its own mistakes. Inside Hertz, the sales team scrambled to patch the leaks. Inventory managers tried rerouting vehicles between fulfillment hubs, but the backlog only grew. Amazon's logistics playbook, so effective for boxes and furniture, couldn't keep pace with the complexity of used cars changing hands across state lines. Darren tracked the fallout in real time: lost revenue, angry customers, and a mounting sense that the digital revolution had hit a wall. The plan to reinvent car sales with data and speed had backfire, and for the first time, both companies saw just how fragile their new alliance could be. A new storm swept through the auto industry, not from a factory floor, but from a checkout button. Amazon's $290 a month car subscription landed like a bombshell. For less than the cost of a single car payment in most cities, drivers could access a rotating fleet of late-model vehicles, all managed by Amazon's algorithms and logistics teams. The pitch was simple: skip the dealership, skip the haggling, skip the headaches. Just subscribe, drive, and swap when you want something different. The price undercut the average annual ownership cost of $9,282 by thousands, leaving traditional dealers scrambling to explain why anyone should buy a car the old way. The fallout was immediate and brutal. In just 18 months, over 2,400 dealerships closed their doors for good. Main streets that once buzzed with weekend buyers and sales banners grew quiet. Service bays emptied. Local radio ads vanished. The economic shock rippled outward. Mechanics, detailers, parts suppliers, even the diner next door felt the loss. For small towns, the dealership was not just a place to buy a car. It was an anchor, a source of jobs and sponsorships for little league teams and school fundraisers. Now, empty lots stood as silent reminders of a business model that could not keep up. Amazon's subscription did not just change how cars were bought, it changed who controlled the market. With more than 200 million Prime members, every search, every click, every drive fed back into a vast web of data. Personalized offers arrived before buyers even knew what they wanted. The company could lose money on each subscription and still win, because the real prize was not profit per car. It was the lifetime value of a loyal customer, the data stream that powered every future sale. The old rules, test drives, sales pitches, handshake deals, were replaced by algorithms and monthly charges. Not everyone cheered. Privacy advocates sounded alarms about the sheer scale of information Amazon collected. Every route driven, every destination logged, every preference tracked and analyzed. For some, the convenience felt like a bargain. For others, it felt like something far more costly. But the tide was impossible to stop. The extinction event for dealerships had arrived, not with a bang, but with a subscription renewal email and an empty parking lot where the showroom used to be. Today, Amazon's algorithms decide which cars fill our streets and which entire industries vanish overnight. More than 2,400 dealerships have disappeared in just 18 months, replaced by automated platforms and rock-bottom prices. As technology rewrites the rules, the line between opportunity and ruin blurs. What seems like a bargain may be the start of something far bigger and far riskier than any sticker price can show. Drop your thoughts below. The story's far from over.